Hey guys, what is going on? Today I wanted to create this video to share with you my updates on MicroStrategy as well as talk about the price of Bitcoin. We heard news with the executive order, even though we had positive news with pro crypto updates, especially with the United States adopting a strategic Bitcoin reserve. We have a global task force for cryptocurrency. We have changes in the SEC administration, along with hey guys, thanks for stopping by to watch a video here at All I See Is W. In today's video, I'd like to talk about the price of Bitcoin, share with you updates with Bitcoin, and talk about MicroStrategy. We'll dive deep from a technical and fundamental analysis. Most of you are wondering, why is the price of MSTR going down right now? And is it time for buy, hold, or sell? We'll cover the latest updates with what the company is doing and what my price forecast is as we head into the remainder of 2025. Now, if you're new to this channel, I would really appreciate you hitting the like and subscribing for more related content. So just looking at price of Bitcoin, we saw some degree of volatility happening just with the recent days of trading. In fact, Bitcoin right now is above 100,000, which is good. We did see it dip below 100K, and we saw a lot of buying activities going on. So that's good. I think it's just a matter of time once we see Bitcoin get to new all-time highs. I believe all of that's going to be happening. We just can't really time the market, but it's going to be sometime, I'm thinking in February, just based on technicals here currently at above $100,000. I do think that we're going to see that next gap up. Even though we see some selling here on the recent days in red, the key thing is we're above the Ichimoku cloud, and I think that's going to be a good indicator as we head into quarter one, especially with MSTR announcing its earnings report as well. I think that's going to be a driving catalyst for why I think there's going to be huge upside with MSTR's price. But let's take a look at just Bitcoin rainbow chart here. So this gives us an overview of where we are right now, especially with the recent post halving back in April of last year, 2024. Key takeaway here is that we're still in that bullish cycle this time around. So that's why I believe in 2025 we have huge upside. HC Wainwright is forecasting over 200K. Even the CEO of BlackRock is forecasting 700,000 for the price of Bitcoin at one point in time. So we're not out of the woods yet. We're seeing volatility happening, which is why I think that's really attributing to the reduction in the price of like MSTR, for example. Let's take a look at treasuries here. So what we're looking at here is just the flow of where all these Bitcoins are kept right now. So in orange, you can think of that as like the ETF. So think of BlackRock creating IBIT, for example, hodling up a huge number of Bitcoin, similar to what MSTR is doing, which would be represented in the blue line here. But as you look here, I mean, why is it that MicroStrategy is the number one titan of the public companies right now? Why? Because they have the most amount of Bitcoin at 471,000. There's no second best. There's no other company that can even compare or come close to what MicroStrategy is doing. One of the interesting things with MSTR is you can think of MSTR, their business model is, think of it as like a vacuum, like in outer space, you have a black hole, you know, sucking up all of that cash, fiat money, buying up raw Bitcoin and converting that to wrap Bitcoin to meet the needs of different clients. So, SRTK was just released where investors get an 8% dividend now for investors who have a larger appetite for volatility. There's different ETF index, MSTR and steroids, MSTU, for example. But for investors with lower risk appetites, there's even bonds that MicroStrategy has. So a wide spectrum of different service-based type of investments that MSTR has in place by hedging Bitcoin. So even though there's been some uncertainty going on, which has driven the price down. You think about like the unrealized gains FUD news with having to pay potentially $19 billion of tax. So all of that was just created from the prior administration. I don't think there's going to be any company that's going to have to pay unrealized gains on taxes. So all of that is just fake news. So that really won't impact MSTR, but a lot of it has to do with potential dilution as well. Yes, while investors don't like hearing about ATMs being used, the upside is that MicroStrategy is using this to increase their market cap. And increasing their market cap would be based on just increasing the amount of Bitcoin held on their treasury. So the more Bitcoins that they acquire, the more uh, uh, hedging that shareholders have with MicroStrategy. So technically, you're owning more Bitcoin, even though the impact would be potential dilution. So that's all of what's going on right now, which is why, shorters are taking advantage of the recent price here. We got an article released, today from Jim Kramer, where he is being an advocate of Bitcoin here. And let's see what he has to say about MSTR. So he's taking that contrarian viewpoint of MSTR. He's suggesting to buy Bitcoin, but we all know you do things opposite as to what Jim Kramer says. I mean, even back then, he was saying not to get involved in Bitcoin back in 2024, and now he's flipped the switch. He's saying to buy Bitcoin, which I do agree 100%. It's one of the best commodities to invest in, but to bash against MSTR, a company that holds over 471,000 Bitcoin with a value of about $48 billion at current price. I mean, he didn't even provide his reasoning as to why this is the case, but I think that any company that has the most amount of Bitcoin is really going to create that separation. There's no second best, as the saying goes, and this is why I think MSTR has dominated in the market. But I think, doing everything in reverse of what Kramer says is how you win in this market. Let's take a look at another article here in that MicroStrategy, they ended up buying up more Bitcoin, announcing that news, using up, another $1 billion to buy up Bitcoin. So now they're at about 471,000 Bitcoins, worth over $47 billion at current price. And what the shareholders approved last week was increasing the number of common shares to $10.3 billion. And also, MSTR plans on offering 2.5 million shares so that they can create, strike preferred stock for the purpose of buying more Bitcoin. So having all of those different levers to meet the needs of different clients in order to buy up more Bitcoin. So with that $1.1 billion, they were able to acquire 10,000 Bitcoins, now pushing up the numbers to getting close to, 500,000 of Bitcoin. So overall, 12 consecutive week buying using that dollar cost average strategy. So MSTR will continue doing that as they continue to get approvals on, convertible notes. They'll just continue to hodl and just hold on to all of the Bitcoin that they can before it gets depleted. That's their business model here. Let's take a look at this visual here. So what we see here would be just Bitcoin advocate states. So you see like Texas, Arizona, all over the place here. Eventually, we're going to see more bees pop up here, but congratulations to these states here. If you live in these states, you're a pro Bitcoin state here. And, what's interesting is that, just yesterday, I mean, Arizona has become the first state out of the entire, country here in the US to pass out the committee to create a strategic Bitcoin reserve. So now there's a bill that's in place, and that will then have to go through approval by the Senate. But I think that, with this very first milestone achievement, especially seen in Arizona, we're going to start hearing more bills be passed and going to the Senate for approval here. So I think it's all coming to fruition where states now are adopting strategic Bitcoin reserve, converting their cash to buy up Bitcoin to really combat inflation. This is really going to add value to the shareholders of MSTR. Let's take a look at just overall technicals here of MSTR. So at one point, we did see MSTR go up to about $550 back in November, and that was when the shorting happened. There was Citron shorting, and of course there was profit taking that was going on here. I mean, especially after going up 800% in 2024 at that time. However, it started, going down, lower lows here, just a matter of weeks of trading. December 31st, it dropped to 282. But we have been seeing some tightening up here, some coiling going up, even though the last couple of weeks here, I mean, just with the last 2 weeks, we've been seeing it go down. But I think that because it's been just going down in the near term here, we could start seeing it pop up back up again, and this will be all attributed to just earnings reports from different tech companies that will be announced very soon here, as well as MSTR's earnings report. I think it's going to be a great earnings report where we're going to have driving catalysts with its overall share price, especially because now MSTR will be able to show net income versus net loss. Every Bitcoin that they hold on to, the appreciation of Bitcoin in Q4 will all be factored in, and that's really going to blow things out of the water with the actual results with earnings per share. So this is really going to drive up the price, and who knows, we may very well see like a double-digit increase with its share price. But key technicals here to keep in mind is that RSI at relatively low at 45 here. I think one key thing we have to keep in mind is that the price is below the Ichimoku cloud. So technically, we could see more bearish movements going on here, especially being below the Ichimoku cloud. That could be like the gravitational pull down, pulling down that airplane down. But hopefully, we can see it break out of that cloud, and then we'll be out of the woods and then start climbing back up to its prior resistance of $550. Let's take a look at another article here. MicroStrategy gets a bull rating on Bitcoin uh, bet here. So this article here, Compass Point, they initiated a coverage buy rating of $550, upside of 64%. And Compass Point believes that Bitcoin, at one point will get up to about $160,000 by end of the year, just with Trump, enacting crypto-friendly regulation, drawing in more institutional capital into cryptocurrency. That's all going to benefit companies that hold on to huge numbers of Bitcoin. That's what MSTR is doing. They're the titan in this industry right now. And I think, just with the continuous buying of Bitcoin, that shows MSTR's resiliency right now. Just being the Bitcoin Treasury company is what Compass Point calls it. And I think as we see Bitcoin surpass all-time highs, MSTR is really going to make a huge bull run. So there you have it. That's my overall perspective as to where I see MSTR headed. But I do think that in 2025, we could see price action even go beyond $1,200. I mean, we've seen what MSTR has done over the years. And you can think of this company similar to like NVIDIA, just the leading titan in the AI sector. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to hit the like and subscribe for more related content. Thank you, guys.